$500. That is what the average American household throws away every single month through habits so automatic, so deeply ingrained, that most people never stop to question them. Not through extravagance, not through recklessness, simply through a way of living that became normal after the 1950s and has been accepted without examination ever since. The generation that survived the Depression questioned everything, every bill, every habit, every expense that felt mandatory but was not. They developed a set of rules for managing money at the household level that was so effective, so practical, and so specific that families on the smallest possible incomes consistently managed to save, to pay their debts, and to feed their children without going under. These are 20 of those rules. Applied today across an average American household, they add up to more than $500 a month. Not through sacrifice, through substitution. And every one of them is sitting right in front of you, waiting to be used. Number 1. Making your own cleaning products. The average American household spends between $60 and $90 a month on commercial cleaning products. Dish soap, floor cleaner, bathroom spray, window cleaner, laundry detergent, fabric softener, drain cleaner, and a rotating cast of branded products promise results only slightly better than what can be achieved with 3 ingredients that cost almost nothing. Depression-era housewives cleaned everything with white vinegar, washing soda, and Castile soap. White vinegar, at 5% acidity, disinfects surfaces, dissolves mineral deposits, cuts through grease, and removes soap scum better than most branded bathroom sprays. Washing soda, which costs under $4 for a large box, handles heavy-duty degreasing, laundry boosting, and drain maintenance. Castile soap, diluted in water, is a dish soap, a hand soap, a floor cleaner, and a produce wash all at once. A household that switches completely to these 3 base ingredients spends roughly $8 a month on cleaning supplies. That saves between $50 and $80 every single month. Number 2. The clothes line. The electric dryer is one of the most expensive appliances in any American home. Running a full-size dryer for 1 hour costs between 40 and 50 cents in electricity. A family doing 5 loads of laundry per week runs their dryer for 5 to 7 hours, spending between $10 and $15 a month in electricity on drying alone, before accounting for the wear and heat damage it inflicts on fabric. Damage that shortens the life of every garment it touches. Depression-era families did not own dryers, they owned clotheslines. Outdoor drying in direct sunlight also sanitizes fabric through ultraviolet exposure, removes stains that survive washing, and extends the life of clothing dramatically compared to heat-dried alternatives. An indoor drying rack costs $12 and handles the same job in winter months. The monthly saving from eliminating the dryer entirely runs between $30 and $50 in electricity, plus compounding savings in clothing replacement costs over time. Number 3. Cold water laundry. Approximately 90% of the energy a washing machine consumes goes entirely toward heating the water. The mechanical action that cleans clothing requires almost no energy at all. Modern detergents, including the least expensive formulations, are engineered to work at full effectiveness in cold water. The case for hot water washing, outside of specific medical or sanitization needs, is largely a habit inherited from an era of inferior detergents, not a cleaning requirement. Depression-era Americans heated water on a stove before washing, which made them acutely aware of exactly how much energy each wash consumed. Switching an average household's laundry to cold water will save between $20 and $30 a month on the water heating portion of the energy bill. That is a 1-second change to the washing machine dial that costs nothing and requires no adjustment to any other part of the routine. Number 4. The library card. The average American household now spends between $120 and $160 a month on entertainment subscriptions, streaming video, streaming music, audiobook services, digital magazine subscriptions, news paywalls, e-book platforms. Each individual service appears small on a monthly statement. Collectively, they constitute one of the largest discretionary expenses in the modern household budget. The Depression era. American equivalent of all of these services was the public library card, which cost nothing then and costs nothing now. Every public library in America provides free access to physical books, audiobooks through apps like Libby and Hoopla, digital magazines, streaming films, online courses, research databases, and in many cases, museum passes and tool lending programs. The library card is the most underutilized financial asset most Americans currently own. A household that audits its entertainment subscriptions, cancels the ones it genuinely does not use, and routes its reading and listening through a library card typically saves between $50 and $100 a month, without removing a single form of entertainment it actually valued. Number 5. The no-spend day. One day per week, Depression-era families spent no money at all, not because they had nothing to spend on, but because they understood something about human psychology that behavioral economics has since spent decades confirming. Spending is partly habitual. It responds to opportunity and proximity more than genuine need. The person who walks past a coffee shop every morning on the way to work does not choose coffee every day because they are especially thirsty. They choose it because the opportunity is there, and the friction of resisting is higher than the friction of buying. A designated no-spend day removes that friction entirely by removing the decision. On a no-spend day, there is no decision to make. Nothing is purchased. The result across a month is typically 4 to 8 purchases that simply did not happen. Small, individually unremarkable purchases that collectively add up to between $40 and $80 that stayed in the household budget rather than bleeding out through the accumulated cost of frictionless daily spending. Number 6. Sunday batch cooking. Monday through Friday, a household that has not cooked in advance faces a recurring dilemma between the time and effort of cooking from scratch and the cost and convenience of buying prepared food. Every time convenience wins, between $8 and $20 leaves the household. For a family of 4, weekday convenience food spending can reach between $200 and $400 a month, representing one of the largest single-line items in the household budget. Depression-era families solved this on Sunday. One large cooking session, 2 to 3 hours, produced enough food to cover Monday through Friday completely. A pot of beans, a batch of grain, a roasted bird, several cooked vegetable preparations. Portioned and stored, these became the foundation of every weekday meal, without requiring a single additional decision or a single dollar of weekday convenience spending. The modern Sunday cook, who prepares 5 weekday dinners in advance, saves between $60 and $120 a month, compared to the household that makes dinner decisions under time pressure on a Tuesday night. The cooking time is the same either way. The difference is entirely in the sequencing. Number 7. Homemade personal care products. Toothpaste, deodorant, shaving cream, moisturizer, and lip balm together cost the average American household between $25 and $50 a month. Every one of them can be replaced by a product made at home in under 10 minutes, from ingredients that cost a fraction of their commercial equivalent. Baking soda mixed with a small amount of coconut oil and peppermint extract makes a toothpaste that cleans effectively and costs under 50 cents per month in ingredients. Baking soda alone, applied to clean underarm skin, functions as a deodorant that Depression-era Americans used routinely, and a significant percentage of people who try it find entirely adequate. Coconut oil alone is a moisturizer, a shaving medium, and a lip treatment. White petroleum jelly, costing under $2 for a jar that lasts months, was the universal skin protectant of the Depression era, and it has not become less effective since. A household that replaces even half its personal care purchases with homemade alternatives saves between $15 and $30 a month, with no reduction in actual personal hygiene outcomes. Number 8. The mending habit. The average American now replaces worn or damaged clothing rather than repairing it. A shirt that loses a button gets retired. Jeans that split a seam get donated. Socks with holes get thrown away. This behavior treats clothing as a consumable rather than a durable, and it adds between $50 and $100 a month to the household budget in replacement clothing purchases that would not exist if the original item had been repaired. Depression-era women darned socks. They replaced buttons. They patched knees and reinforced seams. These skills required nothing more than a basic sewing kit, costing under $8 and 20 minutes of attention. A household that repairs rather than replaces damaged clothing and that teaches this habit to its children eliminates a substantial category of monthly spending entirely. The savings depend on household size but consistently run between $30 and $80 a month for families with children. Number 9. The generic medicine swap. Federal law requires that generic medications contain identical active ingredients at identical dosages to the branded products they replicate. The inactive ingredients, the binders, the coatings, and the coloring agents may differ. The medicine does not. Branded ibuprofen and generic ibuprofen contain the same molecule at the same dose and produce the same result in the body. The brand charges a premium for the name on the packaging, not for any improvement in the product inside. Depression-era Americans had no access to branded pharmaceuticals. They bought whatever was least expensive and most available. Today, the average American household that switches entirely to generic versions of every over-the-counter medicine it uses saves between $25 and $50 a month without changing a single therapeutic outcome. In households managing chronic conditions with daily medications, the savings from switching to generics is frequently several $100s a month by itself. Number 10. The water heater adjustment. Most water heaters in American homes are factory set to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. This temperature is higher than necessary for every domestic use except commercial dishwashing. It means the appliance is actively working to maintain water at a temperature 15 to 20 degrees higher than anything you will ever use it for. The Department of Energy recommends 120 degrees as the optimal residential setting. Lowering the thermostat on a water heater to 120 degrees costs nothing and takes 2 minutes. It reduces water heating energy consumption by 6 to 10%, which translates to between $15 and $30 a month on the average energy bill. Wrapping an older water heater in an insulating blanket reduces standby heat loss by an additional 25 to 45%. Depression-era households applied this practice to every heat-producing appliance they owned. That saves another $10 to $20 a month. The total cost of both measures is under $20 one time. The total monthly saving is $25 to $50 permanently. Number 11. Unplugging phantom loads. Electronics that are switched off but remain plugged in continue to draw power. A television on standby draws 3 to 5 watts continuously. A phone charger with no phone attached draws 1 to 2 watts. A microwave with a digital clock draws 3 watts around the clock. A gaming console in standby mode draws 10 to 15 watts. Multiplied across every plugged-in device in a modern home, phantom load typically accounts for 5 to 10% of total household electricity consumption. Depression-era Americans unplugged everything not in active use because electricity was expensive and wasting money was a moral failure. Plugging every non-essential device into a power strip that is switched off when not in use eliminates phantom load entirely. The monthly saving in an average 4-bedroom home runs between $15 and $40. The habit takes 30 seconds per day to maintain. Number 12. The weekly meal plan. Americans throw away between 30 and 40% of the food they purchase. The primary driver of this waste is not spoilage from storage failures. It is the absence of a plan at the point of purchase. Food bought without a specific intended use gets pushed to the back of the refrigerator until it is no longer edible, and is then thrown away at a cost of its full purchase price, plus the cost of whatever replaces it. Depression-era housewives planned every meal for the coming week before entering a store. The shopping list contained exactly what the plan required, and nothing else. Items were not bought because they looked fresh or were on sale, unless the plan could accommodate them. The result was a household where almost nothing was discarded because almost everything had a designated role before it was purchased. A household that adopts weekly meal planning before shopping reduces food waste by between 50 and 80%, which translates to between $40 and $80 a month in food that gets eaten rather than thrown away. Number 13. Canceling forgotten subscriptions. The average American household is currently paying for 3 to 5 subscription services it no longer actively uses. These are not services used only sparingly, but services the household genuinely forgot it subscribed to, or services whose trial period ended and automatically converted to a paid subscription without a clear reminder. These charges show up on bank or credit card statements in amounts small enough to scan past without registering, yet they add up to between $30 and $80 a month of pure waste. Depression-era Americans kept a written record of every recurring expense, however small. They knew exactly what money left their household every month and exactly what it paid for. A thorough audit of every recurring charge on every payment method, done once with a decision made about each charge, typically eliminates between $30 and $100 in monthly spending the household was not consciously choosing to make. Number 14. The hand-me-down network. Children's clothing is worn for an average of 3 to 6 months before the child outgrows it. The garment then has 80 to 90% of its useful life remaining, often in a drawer or a donation bin. Depression-era families maintained networks of neighbors, relatives, and community members through which children's clothing, shoes, toys, books, and equipment circulated continuously. In many cases, a child was dressed adequately without a single retail purchase because the network provided what was needed as it was needed. The modern equivalent is a relationship with 2 or 3 families in your neighborhood or community who have children at different ages. A child moving up from size 4 to size 6 passes their size 4 wardrobe to the family whose child is moving into that size. A family with 2 children that participates in an active hand-me-down network saves between $50 and $120 a month on clothing not bought at retail. Number 15. The 24-hour rule. Depression era. Americans rarely bought anything non-essential on impulse, not because they lacked desire, but because the purchasing process was more deliberate. You went to a store with a list. Unplanned purchases required a separate trip, a separate decision, a separate expenditure of time and effort, and that functioned as a natural friction against impulse spending. Modern retail, particularly online retail, has eliminated every form of friction from the purchase process. A product seen on a screen can be in your home within hours. The 24-hour rule reintroduces friction artificially. Any non-essential purchase is placed on a list and left there for 24 hours. At the end of that period, if the desire to purchase it is still present and still feels rational, the purchase proceeds. If it has faded, it does not. Research consistently shows that between 40 and 60% of would-be impulse purchases are not completed when a 24-hour delay is introduced. For a household spending $50 to $200 a month on impulse purchases, the saving is between $20 and $120 monthly. Number 16. Buying secondhand first. The Depression-era American did not buy new when used would serve the same function. Furniture, tools, kitchen equipment, clothing, books, sporting goods, and household appliances all circulated through second-hand markets continuously. A chest of drawers bought new at a furniture store for $300 in 1935 was identical in function to one purchased at a second-hand store for $30. The purchase decision was made on function and price, not newness. The second-hand market today is larger, better organized, and more accessible than at any point in history. A household that adopts a policy of checking second-hand sources before making any purchase over $20 saves between $50 and $150 a month on items it was going to buy anyway. This comes at no reduction in the utility of the things it acquires. Number 17. Buy children's clothing one size ahead. When children's clothing goes on seasonal clearance at the end of summer or the end of winter, it is typically marked down by 50 to 70%. A child who is currently wearing a size 6 will be wearing a size 7 in 6 months. So, buying size 7 clothing at end-of-season clearance prices and storing it until it is needed costs half or less of what it will cost when the child actually needs it, and the season is current. Depression-era mothers did this without exception. They bought ahead at every clearance sale, tagged and stored what was purchased, and dressed their children for the coming year at a fraction of in-season retail prices. A family with 2 children who shops one season and one size ahead consistently saves between $30 and $60 a month in clothing costs, averaged across the year. Number 18. The homemade gift rule. The average American spends between $100 and $200 a month on gifts and occasions when those costs are averaged across birthdays, holidays, weddings, baby showers, and other social obligations through the calendar year. Many of these presents are purchased quickly, wrapped in commercial packaging, and often received with the same level of genuine appreciation as something made by hand, if not less. Depression-era Americans gave handmade gifts almost exclusively, not as a budget concession but as a cultural norm. A jar of homemade jam, a hand-sewn item, a batch of baked goods, a written letter or card. The cost of materials was a fraction of a retail purchase, and the gesture itself was considered more personal, not less. A household that shifts the majority of its gift-giving to homemade or experience-based gifts saves between $40 and $100 a month in this category. Number 19. The medicine cabinet audit. The average American medicine cabinet contains between 15 and 30 products, many of them branded. Pain relievers, cold medicines, allergy pills, sleep aids, and antacids are common. In most cases, these products contain 1 or 2 active ingredients that are available in generic form at a quarter of the price, or in some cases as a common pantry item. Honey is a clinically studied cough suppressant that performs comparably to dextromethorphan, the active ingredient in most commercial cough syrups. Gargling salt water at the first sign of a sore throat reduces how long and how severe it gets. A warm compress on a sinus headache provides measurable relief. Depression-era Americans used these remedies because they worked and cost almost nothing. A medicine cabinet audit that replaces each branded product with its generic equivalent and swaps generic products for home remedies when possible saves between $20 and $40 a month. Number 20. The cash-only month. This is the most powerful single experiment on this entire list. For 1 month, 30 days, every purchase made by every member of the household is made with physical cash. The bank account stays open. The cards stay home. Every dollar spent is a dollar physically removed from a designated cash envelope. This is not primarily a budgeting strategy. It is a perception strategy. The research on payment psychology is consistent and substantial. Physical cash registers in the brain as a real loss, in a way that card transactions do not. People who pay with cash spend measurably less per transaction, make fewer transactions, and feel the financial impact of their decisions more immediately than people using any form of digital payment. Depression-era Americans spent cash because no other option existed. That constraint, experienced for a single month today, typically reduces household spending by 10 to 15% across all categories. For a household spending $3,000 a month, that equals $300 to $450 in a single month, from no change other than the physical form of payment. Add these 20 methods together across an average American household, and the savings are not $500 a month. For most families, it is significantly more. The Depression generation did not have less. They lost less. They kept more of what they earned through habits so ingrained that they required no discipline once established, only the initial decision to change. The knowledge was never gone. It only stopped being taught. And now you have it back.